Good morning, it's Sean Shapiro, and today I had to look down. I had to double check. Is the 21st of April. And what can I tell you about the 21st of April? It's going to be today all day, and it's raining out. If you're in the city of Toronto, the weather is not cooperating. It means I'm not going for a coffee walk. We have lots to talk about because this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we answer your traffic and police questions. And the effects of the earthquake that just took place, which was me shaking the phone, were felt all over the world. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you got a lot of sleep last night. I got more than I normally get, so I'm doing well. I also got a new coffee maker, which I'm actually very, very happy about. More on that in just a while. But I want to start with important stuff. Important stuff like Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Where are they? What are they doing? Who are they? What is their purpose? Well, we talk about it every day. So if you're new to the channel, hang on. If you're not new to the channel and you've heard this before, well, you can take a pause and just spend time concentrating on tapping that screen to show that you like what we're doing here, and tell the rest of TikTok that they should be here too. We are going to talk quickly about the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a group of dedicated officers. Their focus is the big four. Their focus is changing driving behavior one ticket at a time. So what do? They go to different areas in the city and they augment the already good work being done by officers all over the place, in Toronto. And they go and issue tickets for offenses like speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They want to make the roads safer for communities, for everybody. And they do that not with hugs, but with tickets. So today they're in two divisions, primarily 22 Division and 41 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Etobicoke, West Mall, Queensway, Long Branch, Wexford, Maryville, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, and Birchmount. So they're all over the place. Do you live in those areas? Say hi if you do. We'd love to hear from you. And if you think that you've got places that we should know about, you should be telling us, because we want to know. If you are watching, we are answering questions in a Q&A style. This is live. Hello, live, actually happening here. And you can ask questions by using the Q&A function on TikTok or on Instagram Live. You can also do it on the other platforms that we're currently broadcasting on, which are YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I will say Twitter because it used to work, but it's broken. Twitter API is not working with Restream right now, which is the company or the product that allows us to stream everywhere at the same time on that camera. So if you are watching us on Twitter, we love you. We'd love to hear from you, but you can't actually speak to us. We won't see it. You'll be talking to yourself and being really frustrated why we're ignoring you. We don't want that to happen. So come over to YouTube. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto Police or Twitch at Traffic Services, and we will happily include you in this conversation. So what can we talk about? There's so much. Q, how is your morning going?
Morning is very effective and efficient. You just use me to drink water?
Yes.
I see.
Yes. Actually, I wanted to know. Normally we have a lot of prep time, and we've been doing a bunch of things. And this morning, at least I have. One of them is responding to a video from Ray William Johnson, who's a creator that I've known on YouTube forever. He's also on TikTok, and there's some buzz. But I'll leave that for when the video goes out. So tune in later and watch our account. If you're not already following us, please do. But we're going to post a video response, and I think you're going to get a kick out of it. But it is interesting, and it will surely create some more buzz than is already on there. Okay, Akela Draconis comes in with the greetings and salutations. Big Jeff Fresh joins us on Twitch with a good day. We've got Chazzy. Did I say that right this time? Because I had a tutorial yesterday and I've already forgotten. Happy Friday, Junior. Yes, it is Thursday, almost Friday. Tomorrow being Friday, so don't miss that. And Big Jeff Fresh, we noticed that you missed us all week, but good for you for enjoying the sleeping inness. Okay, Sebastian says, asks, can you do a U-turn on a solid yellow? Here's the deal with U-turns. Crossing a solid yellow is not illegal in Ontario. However, you're entirely responsible for whatever happens after you do that. A turning motion makes you responsible. A U-turn is that extremely high-risk maneuver, so there are specific areas where you can't. Obviously, if there's a sign saying you can't do it, then you can't do it. If you are on a curve or a crest of grade or in front of a bridge, tunnel, viaduct, or railway crossing, these are all places you simply cannot do it. But there are certain times when you can, and safe to do so and not signed otherwise or in those positions would also be place. Joe Chazzy said I did it right. And Joyce Connor, good morning from Facebook. Now, if you are asking questions, use the Q&A function because that's the only way I see it. I'm not in the chat. The moderators in the chat. Moderators are volunteers, not paid members, not police officers who spend time with us every day to try and help us out, keep this going and keep it safe and happy and so on. Yeah. They do a great job, and we thank them for it. And apparently 7 people have already been muted in the chat. And blocked 3, wow. And 5 people have shared this chat. You know what? If you're on TikTok, if you're on any platform, please share us on your social media. Please tweet about us, and please share us and like us and subscribe to us because it helps the platform. It helps the platform identify the fact that we need to be heard by more people. Why? Because we want to help more people. We don't get paid for this. I mean, I get paid to be here. I'm a police officer, and I'm being paid as such, but we don't make money from TikTok. We don't make money on YouTube. There's no advertising or clickbait or trying to sell you flashlights. We are just here to make the roads safer through education. And we want to save you money on tickets. We don't want you getting charged. If you didn't know you were doing something wrong, we want to make sure that we answer your questions so you can not get charged for stuff you didn't understand. Yeah. Okay. What do we got here? Can I drive my dad's car, but I'm not under the insurance? Here's the deal with insurance. That's between you and a private company. You have to have insurance, and they may have rules for you, and you have to follow those rules. So if you live with your dad and you're a licensed driver, they may ask you to be listed under the insurance policy. And if you drive in violation of their request or their rules, well, then you're going to find yourself, in the event of a collision, being denied coverage, which means car's not going to get repaired and you're going to be in big doo-doo. Now, if you are not living with dad and you want to borrow his car and you're a licensed driver, then there's nothing legally that would stop you from doing that. If you're a lawful driver who's licensed to operate the motor vehicle in the class that you're covered by your license, you're good to go. Now, I will say this. When a police officer pulls you over and you're driving dad's car and you do live with them, you're not breaking any laws. You may be violating their policies, and it may cause issues for you, and for the vehicle owner, but it's not illegal. So even if we pulled you over and you were driving dad's car and you lived with them and you weren't on the policy, that wouldn't constitute an offense under the Highway Traffic Act. Okay, what do we got? We got Tracy Bell with a good morning, Sean and Q. And, apparently in LinkedIn, Tracy can't share. I don't know. We're going to have to call tech support. That's not cool. And we have Alan coming in from Twitch with a good morning, Sean and moderators. Happy Thursday. It is a nice Thursday, although it apparently raining and I didn't get the additional boost of coffee that I was hoping for before the show. But it's been busy.
But did you get breakfast?
I know, but were there sandwiches being handed out? If you are spamming, please stop. We don't actually appreciate that, which I think that people understand when they spam that nobody actually likes you. You're now the people we don't like. Not personally, just your actions make it miserable for a lot of people. So stop it. Don't spam. And because if you spam, we kick you out. Yeah, we want to get along here. This is a community. You don't want to be part of the community, don't come here. All right, let's move on. Can we remove stickers from our license plates? This is a question we've been getting a lot over the last little while. And the answer is, if your license plates are valid in the province of Ontario, you no longer require those license plate stickers. I'm not removing mine until the term is finished. So mine's good into a particular month. And when that month comes and goes, we will stop displaying it. I'll take it off. But it may also be because I'm kind of lazy. I don't actually want to go there and deal with it until the weather's really nice. Okay. Ooh, a question about scooters. Okay, this is a 3-part question. The first part is, what CC engine can you use on a moped, no insurance or a license, or a stand-up scooter? So let's delve into it. First of all, you can't use a stand-up scooter with a motor on it in Toronto. They're completely illegal. E-kick scooters are not permitted. If you're talking about a gas-powered engine on those, they too would be illegal. They're motor vehicles at that point. The kick scooter pilot has very specific rules as to what you need to be a e-kick scooter that's permissible, and they're not allowed in in Toronto proper. Certain municipalities like Mississauga has allowed them, but not gas-powered e-kick scooters, electric kick scooters. Now, when we talk about engines on bicycles, a lot of conversion kits, a lot of people who are buying bicycles and saying, if I put on a conversion kit that you buy on eBay or Amazon or something like that, can I ride that? Is it an e-bike or is it the equivalent? E-bikes are motor vehicles. Bikes with gasoline engines are also motor vehicles. They would require a license, ownership, and insurance to operate. Now, because there's no gas-powered pilot or gas-powered provision for e-bikes, you can't have them at all. They're not licensable. You can't get the insurance that you would require. You can't get a license plate that you would require. And you would have to have a motorcycle license to operate those. So why is an e-bike okay? Because that's usually the follow-up question. An e-bike is a motor vehicle that is restricted, has very specific provisions. One of them is you can't exceed or be capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour. You can't have a motor with more than 500 watts of power. There's a whole bunch of things, including you have to wear a helmet when you operate it, and you have to be at least 16 years old. So if you have an e-bike and it meets those requirements, there is legislation that allows it to operate as a bicycle without license, ownership, and insurance. However, as soon as you go over 32 kilometers an hour, you're no longer covered on that. If you're capable of going faster, you're a motorcycle. You need a motorcycle license. You need to have ownership. You have to have insurance. And guess what? You can't even register it as a motorcycle because it hasn't been approved by Transport Canada, and that includes your gas-powered conversions. They're totally illegal. And what could you see as a consequence for that? Well, if you take that bicycle on the road and you get charged, it's going to be a charge of drive no insurance, motor vehicle no insurance, and that's going to have a consequence of $5,000 to $25,000 in fines on conviction, up to 6 months in jail. That's on your first conviction. So it's serious. It is serious. Civic Australia, we have Wakanda saying hello from Civic Australia, Canberra. Awesome. Apparently it is 12:12 a.m. What does it mean when a cop hits the siren but doesn't pull anyone over? Apparently they're trying to get your attention. All right. Let's move on with more stuff. And are you interested in becoming a police officer? I ask because we're hiring. www.torontopolice.on.ca is our website. You can go and get information not only about becoming a police officer, but becoming a civilian member. We have court officers, parking enforcement officers, all sorts of opportunities. Are you a media manager? Is it media, corporate communications, person? We have a posting for that I think closes today. There's a lot of things that we're hiring for, and we need good people. Are you good people? You should join our team. Okay, check it out, and you can get more information. If you've got questions, you can ask us, or you can also reach out to the folks at Employment, our talent acquisition unit. They're magical people who give people jobs. Okay. So the Pirate says, hey, can I ask a question? Because the question is too long for TikTok. You just asked a question. You want to ask another question? You're pushing it. No, you can ask a question, of course. And Brent Perry says, explain spamming, because I don't know what that is. Spamming is when people basically put all sorts of spam, junk, text, and take up space and annoy other people by repeatedly posting things that aren't relevant to the conversation or are just trying to get attention. Different things. James Fleming, good morning. Hey, you made it in through Facebook. Awesome. Good to see you. James used to work with me, and I wasn't putting this stream on my personal page, so he wasn't getting notified. He was missing out on the show, so we had a conversation last night so we can get him back in here. Okay. Why don't slow drivers get tickets on ramps? On ramps in particular? A ramp is there so you can actually get up to speed. So we don't generally do speed enforcement on ramps. When you talk about slow driving, there's something called unnecessary slow driving. It's a charge under the Highway Traffic Act. But in order to be qualifying for such a charge, you've got to be doing something that is unreasonable and without a reason. So if you're accelerating and you're not at the speed limit yet, you're accelerating, that's not unnecessary slow driving, that's accelerating to speed. Not everybody has a Ferrari and gets there quickly. If you're talking about driving slower than the speed limit, well, you're allowed to do that as long as it's reasonable. You don't have to drive at the speed limit all the time. That's the maximum you can go, not the minimum. So it really depends on the situation. Water time. As one of my one of the TikTokers I really like, he says, you must hydrate before you educate. And if you can tell me who the TikToker is, I'd be impressed. Q, you sounded like you were about to say something, and then I interfered.
Brandon's on IG.
Brandon? No way. My old partner's on. Really? We miss you, buddy. It's been a while. But Brandon used to work here up in traffic services. He did some time on the road, went to the CIB. Then he came up and worked with me for 6 months. And then he went downstairs, and now he's at a division. He's all over the place. He's no doubt doing good things wherever he is, but good to see you, man. Okay, well, I don't actually see you, but now I see you. I see your profile picture just popped up. Okay. What is this? Are you able to hit a car in self-defense? generally speaking, you're not allowed to hit anybody with anything. Your vehicle would be considered a weapon if you were intentionally making contact. So I need to know more, but you do you, and then you might get arrested, and you might be able to defend yourself in court, but you'd probably get arrested. Let's see here. Just for the folks who are trying to join our live on video, we don't actually take guests unless we know who you are in advance, but I appreciate your interest. Good morning, Erin. Erin Urquhart just walked in to say hello. She is TPS underscore Bike Heart on TikTok and all of the social media platforms. She also works the account called Parking TPS. If you've got parking questions, she's got answers. And if you have enough parking questions, we may try and, bring her over and jump on. Yeah, there you go. Can you carry people in the tray of a truck? I don't think I've ever heard of it referred to as a tray. So I'm curious where you're at, Sebastian. But in Ontario, the bed of a pickup truck or a flatbed is not a place that you can carry passengers legally. So there's a couple things. You have to occupy a seat that was created and has a seat belt. Now, if the vehicle predates seat belts, then it could be a seat that was manufactured and doesn't have a seat belt, but you have to be in a proper seat. Otherwise, it's against the law. And people can get charged for that. If they're under 16 or 16, under 16, it's the driver who's going to get charged. If they're 16 or over, it's the individual who's going to get charged. But I think there's probably some charges we could lay on the driver for the bed as well. Interesting things. What are the Segway laws in what just happened here? Did you figure out what two-step is? Yeah, I think we determined that two-step is going to be that concept of launch control. Which is that right, Q? Did we determine it's launch control?
Yeah.
Yeah, launch control, you don't use that on the road. We're not racing on the road. Okay, the question I was trying to select, even though TikTok determined I was trying to select something else, what are the Segway laws in Toronto/Ontario? Segways are not permitted on the road or sidewalk. They are not considered accessible or devices for mobility, so they're just not allowed. We had a pilot that was in specific areas. So all these balance boards and one wheels, they're all not permitted on the road or sidewalk. So I thought they were cool. I really wanted one when they came out, but apparently, or alas, I do not have one because they are not legal. Okay. Can you wrap a car with explicit words? I don't think there's anything that prevents you from doing it, although I think it's a uncool thing to do because there's kids out there and they don't need to see that. And it's certainly, if it's hateful stuff, you might be found to be violating some rules. I don't know what they are offhand, but you know what? I don't think it's something you should do. That's just me personally. And there may be laws that I'm unaware of that would cover that, so don't do it. Save yourself the heartache of being told to wrap again and pay and waste the money. But why would you want to do that? Who wants that? Caitlin, how you doing? The question is, are we ready for the weekend? And the weekend isn't here, not yet, but I'm certainly ready for it when it appears. I will be snoozing on the couch like nobody's business.
Leo wife.
Leo wife, my wife. Good morning. How you doing? It is always awesome when my wife joins our live stream, and if the kids are there with you, if they're on a break, hi guys. It's awesome. And yeah, Wakanda says, did he say explicit? Yeah, explicit. I don't know the specific word. I don't think, was it explicit? Yeah, explicit. Yeah, that was the word, explicit. Oop, wrong button. Wrong shape for the screen. Okay, there we go. So many buttons. The whole screen's a button. Oh, I got a hi dad back from the kids via my wife. So they're watching. It's official. Okay. Laws on neon. Can you have it? There's no specific law that says you can't. However, if it's installed incorrectly, it might create a situation that violates other laws. So, for instance, you can't have anything other than white or yellow lights projecting forward, and you can have a maximum of 4 lights projecting forward. So if your underglow is installed in such a way that the bulbs are visible and it seems to be projecting where it shouldn't, you might be getting a ticket for that. I suggest not using them unless you're parked. They're distracting, and 1980s called back. They want their stuff. Can I put a loud exhaust on my car? Loud is a very specific, or not a very specific question or statement or term. It's just loud. And unnecessary noise would fall into loud. You can get charged for unnecessary noise. You can also be charged for having improper exhaust, depending on why it's loud. So generally speaking, no, you can't. You can put something that's louder than a stock pipe, but it has to be within the rules of engagement. Yeah, 74 decibels at idle is what the maximum loudness is. The amount of noise that can be created. But obviously, you get a Lamborghini stock, it's going to be louder than a Chevette. Any Chevettes still on the road? I don't know. Does anybody know what a Chevette looks like? It's a classic car. Corvette-ish? Not really. Let's see here. What are we talking here? Oh, so Sebastian's saying, no, I think we're talking about two-stage, the pops and fizzles. And so is two-stage the pop, or is two-stage launch control? It's up in the air. Can you get a ticket for idling in a parking lot? Ostinator wants to know. There are idle laws in different jurisdictions. In Toronto, it's very low, so yes, you can get charged for idling in the City of Toronto parking lot or otherwise, from what I understand. I don't think that it's that there's any safe zone for idling. Two-step rev limiters have two separate RPMs for which a rev limit is set depending on certain conditions. That's what two-stepping is? These are things I don't, yeah. Pop, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Okay. Can YouTube play on my screen when the car is driving? No. That would be an entertainment device or screen visible to driver, and there is a charge for that. It falls under the distracted driving charges, so you would be getting the big one, the big charges. That's going to come with all of the joys of stunt driving effectively. Not good. It's going to be the 14-day impound, 30-day license suspension. Don't do that. Okay, is radar speed gun detectors illegal? In Ontario, speed measurement warning devices, which is a radar detector, or jammer for that matter, something that prevents police from measuring your speed, a jammer. Those both fall under a category. It's a $170 fine, and it is there's 2 points involved, I believe. Additionally, we have search and seizure authority, so if we have reason to believe that you have it, we are able to search your vehicle and the occupants without warrant. It's part of the authorities provided under the Highway Traffic Act in relation to this. So don't do that. Not only do you lose, and we seize the item once we find it. BK Magic, what's going on? BK Magic, a magician who's here on TikTok. He's recently moved from Toronto out into another province. To chase his dream of making magic everywhere. That's awesome. So good to hear from you. Hope you're doing well. Question from Caitlin on YouTube. Can we use our phones in a drive-through when we're idling and not parked while waiting for food, or is that technically distracted driving too? The answer, Caitlin, is that in Ontario, that charge only applies to the highway, and the highway is any road. But private property, it does not apply to. So you could use your phone in the drive-through, and many people do because they have to pay for it, pay for their meals, and their credit cards are now integrated into the tap functionality of their phones, or they're using the app for the order. So totally legal, but you still have to pay attention to what you're doing, because if you were to roll into the car in front of you, you'd still be responsible for the collision. And the fact that you're on your phone and possibly being captured on social media, could be weighted against you into why you caused the collision. And although there's no charge for that collision, we don't lay charges on private property for collisions, your insurance company would still not be impressed. Hope that answers your question. Okay. Hang on one second. Okay. You got questions?
No, I don't have questions. I just said you're excused.
Oh, thank you. Okay. We have the Pirate sends an American flag our way. Well, we're in Canada, but all flags are worthy of being shared there. Okay. What is the law? What is this? Oh, we already covered this. What's the law on having YouTube? Legal age to have. Why? TikTok's annoying me today. Well, it was annoying me yesterday too. Are car seat laws different for classic cars? That's a good question. The car seat laws, if we're talking about child restraints, you still need to have a child properly restrained in a classic car, which makes it difficult if they have no seat belts. how would you affix it? But the law about transporting a child in that car, I think, is going to be applied. I'm going to have to look into that. I say it because I believe it, and because no one should be transporting children unsafely. It's not a good idea. But it might be different now that I've gone full circle on my thought process. Because if you don't have to wear a seatbelt in the vehicle because they don't exist, you might be exempt for taking your children in, unless it's a child protection thing. So we'll have to circle back to that. I'm going to actually make a note. Maybe I'll do one better. I'm going to take a picture of my screen because I really want to know the right answer to this. I love getting stumped on. When you think you know something and there's a logical process, and then you have to think about it again and realize that it's a totally, I don't know. Okay, happy Thursday, everybody. Yes, happy Thursday. Well, thanks for the message. Let's go here. It's official. I think that was the same one we were just talking about. Moving on. We're going to come back to it because I'm going to have a discussion with some learned colleagues. Can you tint your brake lights? Why am I choosing one and getting a totally different answer? This is really annoying. I have a military bumper. Would law allow me to tow? A military bumper does not give you the authority to tow. There are regulations as to what you can and cannot tow, so you have to follow those. The bumper itself doesn't give you any authority. Connecting to another vehicle, you need to do things properly and legally. So I don't know what the ins and outs of what you're asking is, but the bumper itself doesn't give you any authorities. Military or otherwise. Okay. Can you install shining LED valve stem cups? I've seen it. It's not illegal as long as it's not flashing red lights. The valve stem, so that when you drive, it looks like a solid light on your rims. I will tell you this: the materials are usually cheap garbage, and when you connect the alloy that's made of with the valve stem screw cap, very often you get a very, very quick oxidation, and they bond. And good luck getting them off. You'll have to cut off those valve stems to get them replaced at the place. I wouldn't use those. This is a good question. Can I remove my seatbelt and install a harness? No, you're not allowed to remove your seatbelt. It's a violation of the Highway Traffic Act. Additionally, you can't use a 5-point harness or a 5-point harness. You can't use a racing harness on the road. They're not qualified for the road. They're not approved. You can use them on tracks, but that's it. There may be some that are somehow permitted, but you can wear it, but you'd have to wear the OEM, the standard, shoulder and lap belt combination over your 5-point harness, which would make you look ridiculous. Stuff that's okay for the track isn't okay for the road just because it's interpreted as safe. Additionally, we've talked to racers who say, you need to have a pit crew to install you into that seat for it to be done properly. You have to be one with the seat. You have to be put in so tightly that you have no wiggle room at all, which means it's not going to be so comfortable. Again, may look cool, but isn't cool. Scott, be crazy. Why are you wasting taxpayer money by doing TikTok? Well, what is it? What is the little alien guy on the Flintstones call Fred? The deal is that we are not wasting taxpayer money. We are educating the public. We are here talking to the 564,000 followers we have on this channel and everyone who's new, because we are wanted, and it's a successful program that we're expanding, not slowing down. We are talking to social media viewers. We are talking to traditional media. We're on the radio all the time, and my function in the traffic services unit is to be a media relations officer and an educator in traffic safety. So this is very important, and the people who appreciate us, and those like yourself, don't need to be here. Okay. Tinto Tozy from Montreal, how you doing? Long time no see. Here's a question. When 3 cars, one after another, turn left and cut off a walker, who gets the ticket? So 3 cars have cut off the pedestrian, it depends on the situation. Without seeing it, I don't know what to suggest. The first car obviously cut off the pedestrian. The second and third may not realize the pedestrian was there. The first one would certainly be eligible for a ticket. The ones after the fact, it's a good question. Who has the right to cross, the cross guard or driver? You're talking about, so if a crossing guard is in the intersection, at that point, nobody can cross until everyone's off the roadway. So if you're talking about crossing guards present, that's a totally different situation, and all of those vehicles would be eligible for charges. Sergeant Murray Campbell joins us in studio. How you doing, Sarge?
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Doing all right. We're talking about all sorts of things. And actually, we can circle back. This is a question that I'm sure you'd know the answer to, because I don't. I've gone through and down the rabbit hole, around and around I went. I came back out and said I'm going to ask somebody else. So you are my learned colleague who gets the question.
Well, I hope I can answer.
I hope so, too, because I've just done a lot of buildup. If you are driving a classic car, what are the rules around child restraints? This is a classic car with no seatbelts installed. Must you still use a child restraint to transport children, infants, and so on?
So two separate sections of the Highway Traffic Act. The seatbelt laws say in the legislation that if the vehicle was manufactured with seatbelts, it must be worn. The child restraint laws probably didn't take that into effect and say a child being transported in a vehicle must have a child restraint.
So that's sort of where I was going. I kept bouncing between those two ping pong things.
So could you be charged with a child restraint improperly installed, not secured? Yeah, I bet you could. I don't know if I would want to put a child in a classic car that didn't have seatbelts.
Well, my thing is, so one thing that many of our viewers may not be aware of is you can actually have, there are exemptions for buses and for taxis. So if you had an infant or a child and you were going to use either of those, you don't have to be wearing a seatbelt in those or a child restraint. But is that safe? Collisions still occur and injuries still result from those collisions. So you're putting yourself and your child at risk if you were to utilize a vehicle that doesn't have a proper safety harness. So regardless of what's legal, what you should be doing is what's safest. And frankly, I wouldn't take my children in a scenario like that. I'd opt for the safest option. Just like seatbelts. Children who can sit without a child restraint. Like if you're 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9", you don't have to be in a child restraint or booster anymore. You can sit by yourself in the seat with a seatbelt. Now, at that point, is it safe? Well, it's legal, but there's actually other steps and tests that you can do. There's a 5-point test that talk about, can you sit with your back firmly against the seat and have your legs at the knees bend at the front. There's a whole bunch of these things, and those are a better test as to whether it's safe. Additionally, we say that, and professionals in the industry say, young persons until they're 14 years old should stay in the back seat for their safety. Airbags are dangerous to younger and smaller people. There's a whole bunch of reasons. But yeah, we're going to get off this topic because I don't want to spend too much time, but it is very interesting to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, unfortunately that, as legislation comes in, they don't take into consideration all factors that may happen. So.
Okay. What is this? Q is asking about who? About what? Q is typing but not talking. Okay. Let's see here. Is it? Oh, okay. People are being disruptive in the chat. So if you're being disruptive, we're talking to you. Please stop. We're a community here. We want to get your answers, your questions answered, and that's why we're here. And folks that don't like the police come in and type things to be disruptive. You're not hurting us. Our feelings are left unscathed. You are ruining it for others, and that's unfortunate. Okay. Is it illegal to have a blue LED on in the interior of your vehicle? The answer is no. You can have interior lighting. It may not be safe. It may not be the best option, but it doesn't violate any laws in Ontario. In fact, my footwells in my vehicle, I have in my stereo, I can change the color. I can make purple floor, pink floor, green floor. I don't know why that's important, but my kids like it.
What if you had a blue light that actually shone out the front to the front window?
Well, that is different. You cannot be projecting blue, red, or green lights, and really you shouldn't be projecting any light from the interior outside.
Right.
And that's a big thing. It's disruptive, it's distracting, and there are laws that prohibit certain colors in certain directions.
You know what? I have mine set for red.
Your interior?
My interior is set for red, and the reason it's red is because red does not affect the eyesight, night vision, as badly as any other color.
Yeah, pilots, and military operators will use red lenses on their flashlights, and for that very reason. And our police cars now come stock with red interior lights. It's really smart.
Yep.
Really smart.
Think about all the movies with submarines in there, and all of a sudden they change, the warning lights go on and it turns to red.
You know, I need to make a ping sound now. That ping. I need that. We need that sound effect. Okay. Can I have a roll cage on a street car? Sebastian is just coming in with tons of questions. And Rob Baker says, greetings, Sarge, greetings. So the answer to the question about roll cages, when you talk about street legal roll cages or roll bars, they're legal when installed appropriately. But you need to know that roll cages, the ones that are more for stock cars, racing cars, are not something you should have on a street vehicle because they're only intended to be used in conjunction with tethers, helmets, neck braces. A minor collision with a proper cage, a proper racing cage, could result in brain damage because minor things get amplified when you get bounced into metal hard things.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're unlawful to put in,
But unsafe.
but they are unsafe.
Yeah, there may not be a you should not put this cage in line of code in the HTA.
You know what? You can have a vehicle that is set up for racing with the proper safety equipment in it and still operate it on the road as long as it still fits requirements of the road. So a roll cage within your car would be like cargo in your car. You're just transporting it.
Interesting. But the brain damage, not a good thing.
Brain damage? No, not a good thing.
It's not suggested. What is your opinion of New York State troopers? They have cool hats. Don't they have cool hats?
Yeah.
They have Stetsons. I have no experience with the New York State troopers, but they're law enforcement officers, and I'm sure they run into many of the same issues that we run into while trying to keep people safe on the roads. So,
You know what? I do know that they're very, very visible when out on the highways when crossing over from the Canadian border into New York State. It's awesome to see them out there. It does slow everybody down. It certainly slows me
do
down.
they have the big single light in the middle, that giant?
No, I think that's Michigan.
That's Michigan? Okay. Michigan. My cousin lives in Michigan. They call them Stadies there. I guess they call them Stadies everywhere, but anyway. Is it legal to have different colored fog lights? No disco lights on your car. The only color you can project forward in Ontario colors would be yellow and white. Those are the two that are permitted. Everything else would be against the rules and improper, thus illegal. What's the age and weight limit for kids to sit in the front seat? So I mentioned it a little while ago. To be out of a car seat or booster seat legally, it is 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9" in height. Any one of those three would make it legal for them to sit in without a booster or car seat, at which point they could legally occupy any seat other than the driver's seat, because they're not licensed, in a motor vehicle. That's not the safest place. So the professionals say back seat until you're 14, again, to avoid being hit in the event of a collision. The crumple zone, the airbags, all those things, very dangerous for younger folks. And you may be a big 13-year-old or 12-year-old or 10-year-old. That doesn't mean that you're...
I have just a bit of a clarification on what you said there.
Okay.
Just so that it's not misconstrued. There are two separate things. There are child restraints.
Yes.
Seats that they have to be occupied in. But if you're talking strictly about seating position, there are no laws that say you cannot put an infant or a child in the front seat.
Yes.
So if you have a two-seater car, you can lawfully put them in the front seat. But you must understand that safety, the reasoning behind it, doesn't make it safe for the people there. So if the law says you can do it, it doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. Like you said, the back seat is the safest.
Yeah, and that also goes for animals, not to compare children to animals, but animals should be tethered in the back seat as well for their safety and yours.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Can you mount a seat in the truck bed if it's mounted? We've had this conversation a few times before. I defer because we...
So if the vehicle was manufactured with that seat in the back, if it came from the manufacturer and it was approved through Transport Canada and it has the safety restraints with it, yes, you can use it. An example would be the Subaru Brat. I remember that car from the 80s. I remember somebody driving one in high school, and there was seats in the back, and you could climb in the back and strap in.
Jump seats?
And no, they were actually backwards-facing seats. My goodness. You think about some of the station wagons of early years, they had backwards-facing seats in the back. So, no, you cannot mount your own seats in the back there, even if it's mounted right down to the frame.
Well, there you go. Thou shall not. What is this car? Seen a York Regional Police car pull over a car on the 407. Is that lawful? Can they do that? Do they have the authority? Absolutely, they do. We're police officers in the entire province, not just in the cities where we are employed. We have authority as police officers everywhere in the province. Now, is it our focus of our duties? No. But if we're there and we see something illegal, then absolutely we can act on it. And we should.
Absolutely.
Are mufflers with sound but not too loud illegal? Are mufflers with sound but not too loud illegal? That's a very interestingly worded question. The deal is that you have to have a muffler that muffles, and it is against the law to make unnecessary noise, and very often aftermarket mufflers that are designed to be a little noisier than normal could qualify for that. It depends, and behavior is the largest contributor to issues with noise. I like to say that if you bought a factory car, a Honda Civic seems to be my go-to whenever I talk about this. If it was a factory, not offensive sounding out of the box, but you drive it around at red line when you're doing 30 kilometers an hour, that's still unnecessary noise. It's going to be really loud, and that's with a properly functioning muffler. So equally, if you take a Lamborghini 12-cylinder and you get out there, it's going to be at idle louder than that Honda Civic, but if you drive respectfully, and you're probably going to be lawful. It's not creating unnecessary noise. So this all depends. My understanding is 74 decibels at idle is the maximum amount of noise one can create in a muffler and still being legal. But that's our mechanic friend telling us that. And at the end of the day, for the HTA, it's going to be unnecessary noise that we'd be looking at.
A lot of equipment in cars has to go through Transport Canada to be approved, in the U.S. it's the DOT, and a lot of stuff that is sold in the country is not actually lawful to put on there. License plate covers are a good example of that. We can buy that at Canadian Tire. You can buy that at any auto parts store, but they're not lawful to be put on your license plate and used. So be aware of what you're doing to your car. Be aware of the changes you're making to your car, because they may not be lawful.
And you're still responsible for it, whether you checked it out or not.
Yeah.
That's that whole concept of knowing stuff before you do stuff so you don't get charged with stuff. Here's Sergeant Campbell's favorite question. Can you tint your brake lights black on the outside?
Yeah, this one bugs me. No, you cannot. And why would you ever want to? Why would you want to make it harder for the person behind you to see you when you're slowing down? You know what? If you're on a show car and it's off-road and you've got tinted headlights, maybe it looks better. Maybe it looks a little more black with the rest of your car. But it doesn't look better when you have a car parked in your trunk because they didn't see your brake lights. Plus, as we've said before, that would be a contributing factor should you get into a collision. Officers would make observations of that, and that may affect your insurance as well.
We call those clues.
Those are clues.
Yes, and insurance companies, they look at clues too. And amazingly, they decide what they want to do with those clues on their own. We investigate things and we make notations and reports and so on. But at the end of the day, insurance rates and determinations of guilt on their end are theirs to make.
Yeah, and you know what? If we mark it down that your vehicle was modified, you didn't notify them that it was modified, they may completely deny your claim at all.
Yes, I was watching on the news. There was a chap who put on an aftermarket exhaust system and it was involved in a collision. And not only was the exhaust system not covered, they denied the entire claim. They said he was responsible, didn't declare violation of their policy. Now, I think they fought back and they got the car covered. But at the end of the day, many times that is what happens.
Yep.
Speaking of which, if you change things like the color or displacement of your vehicle, in terms of number of cylinders, those are things that need to be notified, or the ministry needs to be notified. And if you don't, that's a violation as well. You have 6 days to notify those changes. Is a resonator delete illegal? So part of the exhaust system requirements is generally a resonator and a muffler. Now, a resonator works together to help reduce noise. So if you don't have one, you may be changing the tune of your vehicle, but you may also be making it illegal. So I can't tell you for sure whether it's going to happen, because there are some vehicles that have multiple resonators in place of a muffler. So if that's the way the vehicle passed to be sold in the country or in the province, then it may be legal, but removing it might make it illegal. And it's a lot of iffy, maybe possibly.
Yep, they're there to to take the sound pulses that are coming out of your engine and the resonance that is created by a running engine and turn those sound pulses back in towards the engine again.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it changes the sound. Changes the sound, changes what comes out, changes what you hear, and sometimes the volume of what you hear.
So by modifying those things, you may make your exhaust system improper. You might create unnecessary noise. Here's the deal: anything you do to change your vehicle from factory could result in an offense. It doesn't mean that it will, but you need to know what you're doing before you do it. So if you are unsure, you should check with someone who knows. And mechanics generally know. They may allow you to do things or do work that is not going to be lawful in the end, but at the very least, they know the answer as to what must be done in order to be a safety. So you can check with those people and at least find out how many tickets you're going to get in the event that you choose to do the work that you're asking to do. Let's see here. Canadian Outlaw says, what charges can another person if they hit your car and run in a parking lot? So this is a fail to remain situation in a private parking or a private property scenario. So oddly enough, one of the few things that on private property that charges can be laid for is failing to remain. You are responsible for exchanging information, and you are responsible for remaining. And not doing that, well, that's now you're in the realm of an offense. But if the person doesn't run away, there's no actual charges to lay on private property unless you start getting into situations of what's called impaired or.
What about fail to report?
Well, fail to report, I go with the fail to remain.
Fail to remain is remain, render assistance, and exchange information. Plus, you do, if there's damage, injury, or any criminal actions, you do have to report that to the police.
And there's a threshold for dollar amount so a minor scratch or fender may not require a report, but, well, actually, on these days, cars, everything is $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, so pretty much any collision you're involved in is going to be reportable.
Section 199 and Section 200 of fail to remain and fail to report. Plus, it may go into the criminal category if you've hurt somebody and you fail to render assistance.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't understand why people run away. I mean, I get that they may be fearful of being responsible for things, or it's mom's car, or whatever the situation is. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you it's going to be better for you to stay, because we actually look for you when you run away. And private property may have more video cameras than anywhere else.
Yep, absolutely.
So we tend to find people who run away. Okay. Are you chasing if someone passes at 1:30? At 1:30? 1:30 is you get stopped for 1:30, yes. We're going to pull you over for 1:30. That's actually a really clear-cut one, yes.
Chasing is has so much meaning. Are we going to go after them, stop them? And absolutely.
Yeah. First of all, they're doing something that is dangerous, that we acknowledge is dangerous. And not only at 1:30, I mean, we pull people over for doing 1:40, 1:50, and more. You're going to get stopped. And for the folks who say, well, what if I just bury the needle and take off? There's something faster than you. It's called a radio.
Yep.
We have a lot of police cars in the city of Toronto. We don't have to catch you. We'll get you at the next stop.
And once again, video.
It's amazing what that evidence stuff does.
Yeah. You know what? We have video in their police cars. We have video in, we have private security video. We have body cam video. It's great at convictions.
Absolutely.
Great at providing evidence.
Absolutely. Why do you touch the back of a car during a stop? That's something that's very American. It's not something that I think is taught here, but it is something that I see many people do, and of course we hear about it all the time. Officers, when approaching a vehicle, will often touch the back of the car, and I believe that is simply to mark the territory, just to say that here's a fingerprint. If the vehicle takes off on me, I've put my fingerprint on the back of the car. I think it's for an evidentiary chain situation.
I believe that to be correct as well.
But again, it's not something that is commonplace here, but we see it on TV all the time. So it's a very specific,
You know what? If it's on TV, it's got to be true.
It's true. It's true. Absolutely. Can I remove my seats and only have the driver one?
Sure.
Nothing says you have to have a passenger seat. In fact, we used to have police cars that had no passenger seat because there was no room for the computer, the way that the system was laid out. So we actually removed them.
The IROC.
That's true. I was thinking of the what was it, the Jeep, the supervisor trucks. For a very short time,
Yep.
we had some
We had
Jeeps.
Jeep Cherokees.
That's what it was, Cherokee. I owned one of those. How did I not remember it was called a Cherokee? Okay.
You know what? You can order cars. I think the Dodge Challenger, The spec edition comes with one seat.
Really?
It's an option. It's a $1 option to get the passenger seat.
That's a $1 option. What is the new Drive On program? I don't have information on the Drive On program. I'll have to read. Is that been announced yet?
Not that I know of. We've heard rumblings.
Okay, when it comes out, we will be announcing it here, no question about it. We like to talk about current events and things that are affecting drivers in Ontario. So when we know, you'll know, but we don't know yet. But thanks for asking the question and putting it on my radar. What is this? We talked about that. What is the difference between OPP and police? We're both police, actually. The Ontario Provincial Police is a provincial policing body similar to the United States, who have state police and then they have sheriffs for counties and then city police. So we have federal police, the RCMP. We have provincial police, the OPP, and every province will have their own. And then we have municipal police, and that is what we are, the Toronto Police. We are for the City of Toronto. And you have York Regional Police for the region of York, and so on and so forth. But we're all the same. We have the same powers. We just have a different boss.
Yeah, and we just have different areas of responsibility. The OPP polices provincial highways because they're responsible for them, but they also police by contract. So municipalities that don't have their own police services will contract to the OPP to come in and police their area.
And oddly enough, you know, the RCMP, the federal police, do the same thing. They have federal policing responsibilities, like, for instance, protecting internationally protected persons and you know, government officials. And then you have certain areas where there are no provincial police that are active, and they take on a municipal policing role as well.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Our policing structure is very different than many other countries. So it's cool. What do we got? We got questions about what was my first job. My first job, I worked at McDonald's. Was that my first job? I worked at McDonald's when I was like 13.
I got you beat. I think it was 9, and I got a paper route.
Ooh, no, I helped my friend with his paper route, but Ashley had the paper route. We just went bicycle riding, and he delivered papers.
All my friends had mini bikes, and I desperately wanted one. It took me a year to save up to buy a mini bike.
I never had a mini bike.
And then I was not allowed to drive it.
Oh.
My parents wouldn't let me drive it until I saved up enough money to actually get liability insurance on it.
Get out. I'm still sore about the fact that I never had a mini bike, but I grew up in Toronto, so I guess that there wouldn't have been where to ride it.
Yeah.
Like my very small lawn. Cleaner 20 says, show's amazing, very informative. Thank you for, I went to select it to put on screen, and I got a different question that showed up. It said very informative, and then I hit the wrong button. I'm trying to find it again. Well, thank you very much, Cleaner 20. I appreciate the fact that you appreciate us, and we are glad to be here doing what we do, answering questions, because that's what it's all about. Okay, I found it. It's keep up the great work. See?
Yeah, there you go.
Can I try and select it now? Is it going to work? We're going to take another random question. Okay. But really do appreciate it. I got some emails from members of the police service here. So I got some emails from members of the OPP. We're apparently popular. People like what we do. It's awesome. It is really great. We like hearing from it. We did surveys a while back and got some amazing responses. People from all walks of life telling us what they thought of the work that we do. And it's cool. Not everyone loves us, but most people like us. Yeah, just general. Hey, if you're watching us and you don't already follow us, please do, because we go live Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, and then we also post content on a regular basis. And we'd love to hear from you in our comments in our Q&A section. You can DM us. There's all sorts of ways. You can also watch us and listen to listen. It's really just going on to our Twitter page, because we're Traffic Services. You can get us there. Instagram, occasionally we post some stuff and things. But you should follow us everywhere. Traffic Services or Traffic Services Toronto, or YouTube, where you can watch archives of all of our lives at Traffic Services Toronto Police. Come follow us there. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers. What is this? Joyce Connor wants to know if we can define what is making a citizen's arrest. That's a deep dive question, because it's something that unless you know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it, because there's a lot of liability involved. I was an auxiliary constable when I started with the police, and I was a uniform volunteer, but my powers were that of a civilian. Citizens' powers of arrest is very specific what you can and cannot do. Maybe we should do something with our training sergeant or constable at some point talking about that, because I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah,
but it's not a simple one.
there's a whole bunch of different scenarios where you are or are not allowed to actually do that. To arrest somebody means you're taking away their liberty, their rights. Security guards, loss prevention officers, they have training and they're licensed and to be able to do that. They're not police officers, so they're making an arrest or detention in relation to a criminal offense, usually theft, that happens in relation to their property.
Yes, because they're using that being an occupier of property gives them expanded abilities than that of a regular arrest.
Right, and they would learn about those powers through getting their license. But for somebody out on the street, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios. Different crimes have different classifications. Summary conviction offenses, dual offenses, indictable offenses.
There's a lot to know.
There's an awful lot to know.
And if you do it wrong, you're really liable.
And not only civilly liable, but you could be charged criminally for forcible confinement, offenses like that. So usually best to give us a call.
Yeah, 911, it's amazing. That's exactly what it's for. And you know what? You don't have to arrest someone to be a good witness, to use your phone for taking video, if you don't have a phone, making note of important pieces of information and staying to talk to police and being that witness and putting your information on paper is huge to help us do what we need to do. So I thank you for bringing this up, because it's a good conversation to have, and maybe we'll get some people to come in and talk
You know
about
what?
it.
I think that would be a good topic for a good section of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob Baker wants to know, can a mall security guard pull me over in a parking lot? Pulling over is a funny thing. They don't have the right to stop vehicles, but they do have the ability to come talk to you if you're there.
Well, you know what? If you're driving dangerously on private property, it is a criminal offense. They may have the authority to do that. They're the agent of the property. You are an invited guest, even though the parking lot is open for you to enter. It's still not your property to do so. They can make rules in relation to their property. Can they write a traffic ticket? No.
Well, now, in terms of stopping, they have the right to say, get off my property, because they're agents on behalf of the owner. So they can say, leave.
Yep.
And is that pulling you over, or saying, they don't generally have lights and sirens in their vehicles. But certainly communicating to you, get out, they can do that for sure. That's interesting. Do police boats chase boats if they don't pull over? We have a former Marine officer who was close by, but my understanding is, yeah, they absolutely do pull boats over.
Yeah.
So I've been on the water with our Marine unit, but I've never worked in Marine, so I know nothing about boats other than they float.
Well, I've been stopped a number of times by the police, usually just for a safety compliance check. Make sure I have my vessel operator's card, make sure I have all the safety equipment that's required. I've never run away from the police, but I'm sure that if I did, they would come after me. And the one thing about bodies of water, other than the ocean, they end. So if you're on a lake, you don't have much
Nowhere to go?
and they can follow you.
Amazing, even slowly.
Yeah.
Why are there so many restrictions on modifying vehicles? It's so many ways to answer this, but ultimately, safety and community. Because although noise may not be a safety thing, it does affect communities, and I can tell you that they're not happy. Instagram, I see that you're about 26 seconds away from being cut off. We are limited to an hour, so goodbye to you. We're going to be wrapping up the show anytime, so you're not going to be missing much. But we'll see you tomorrow for Friday, the Friday edition tomorrow. Come back and we'll see you then. But just to finish off on this restrictions on modifying, they're based on good reason. Safety is the primary concern, and second to that, I'd say it's that whole concept of community. Hearing damage is a real thing. Loud cars do cause issues. There's also restrictions for environmental protection.
Yep.
They're all for a reason, and it's not just to make you unhappy. And as much as I would love for everyone to be able to express themselves and feel fulfilled with their vehicle, there has to be some level of rule to ensure it's being done in a safe way.
And you know what? Car manufacturers want to get as much money out of their manufacturing process as they can. They're in business to sell cars. So if there's something done to your car, there's a reason that they had to do it. They had to spend money on it. There's a reason why your headlights are aimed the way they are, or they have a certain brightness. There's a reason why they had to add a resonator and a muffler and a catalytic converter, multiple catalytic converters on some cars. There's a reason for everything. So manufacturers don't want to do extra if they don't have to. So if it's on your car,
There's probably a reason for it.
there's probably a reason for it.
Let's see. We got Sebastian has been very busy with questions. He wants to know if is it legal to drive with one hand, or is 10 and 2 a requirement?
Well, if we talk to, is it Scott, the driving instructor? He would say two hands at the same
Well, definitely for safety, suggestion is two hands at all times. But is it legal to drive with one hand? I think the question has to be: at what point is it unsafe? No hands. To me, that's careless driving.
Absolutely.
Driving with your knees, careless driving. But what if you
you
only have
carrying
one
control.
hand? Are you allowed to drive? Yeah.
Yep.
Loud pipes save lives, according to Corny. But you're wrong. It's a great theory, but the pipes are facing backwards and you're going forwards. So if you want to alert people ahead of you, you have to drive backwards. It doesn't work. There's a whole Doppler effect when you talk about waves, sound waves or radar waves. They're waves. And they travel in a certain way, and the Doppler effect says loud pipes just annoy people who are behind you. Sorry. I think that's I could do a whole show on that too. Actually, I'd love to get our speed guy in here to talk about to that, because I think that he's got a wealth of information.
Our speed guy, you mean the person who runs the radar and speed enforcement?
That guy.
The technical guy.
Yeah, talk about sciencey stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome and a nice guy.
Yeah, he is, truly. Caitlin wants to send a message. It posed a question, but I think it's a message for everyone. And that is, how often should one change their blinker fluid?
Do it at the same time as you're changing your muffler bearings.
And when you make the switch from summer to winter air and vice versa.
Well, you know what? I actually keep my winter air in my winter tires and put my summer air.
You know, that is strategic and a good idea.
You know what? It's
Saves a
easier.
step.
Yep.
Saves a step. All right. Oh, and Q says premium air for everyone. That's it. That's all. We're going to call it a day. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It is always a pleasure to do what we do with you, for you. That's why we're here. So we will be back tomorrow for Friday, 10 o'clock Friday. That's tomorrow. See you then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.